across the street, okay, and there's an intersection right there, right where we're standing, and people are walking back and forth, and the street is blocked off, and so the people can walk back and forth. And we had just walked by there about 5 minutes before, because we left there to go over to listen to the band in Centennial Park. And as soon as we did that, we walked inside the park, and we walked right to where the fence was. So we were about 30 feet from the fence, and we were standing there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and then we heard an explosion. It was a muffled explosion. It was like it was inside of something. And then as soon as I heard that, I turned and I looked over at the fence, and stuff came over top of the fence, like shards of, I don't know, I couldn't, but there were some long pieces, like very long pieces of metal, or because it was shiny. Because it was shining in the light. It wasn't like wood or anything. It was like shining in the light. And as soon as that happened, the camera guy that was standing about 8 feet from me just dropped. And the people ran over to him, and there were policemen all around the fence, and they ran over to him, and that's when they told everybody to leave the park. And as soon as that happened, I turned right behind me, and there was another woman that was laying on the bench too. At least that I know of 3, but if it was that loud and that powerful, with hundreds of people walking across the street from Fat Tuesdays over to Centennial Park, I don't even want to know what's going on down there. A lot of people. And we had just walked by there 5 minutes before. So, yeah, very lucky. Extremely lucky. And I'm a little shaken up right now, to be honest with you. When it first happened, I was okay about it, but now that when I think about it, we had just walked by there. So,
what's your name?
Jeff Mitchell. Here in Atlanta. I live here.
Yeah, amazing.
Now let's go back to Jim Gray, who has a cameraman who was on the tower just moments before the explosion occurred. Jim?
That's right, Tom. I'm here with Max Schindler. He is an NBC employee, and he was on the tower just a few yards away from where this exploded. And you have some new information. They asked you to get off the tower because there was a bomb scare?
We were shooting the concert from the tower, and about 2 minutes before the tower exploded, they came up and asked us to leave because there was a bomb scare.
Who is they?
Security guy. It looked like one of the AT&T security people from the AT&T pavilion where the concerts occur in the park.
And so you went ahead and got off the tower?
Yeah, they run the tower and they run the security on the tower. So we went ahead and pulled our cable from our camera. We were on live and came down off the tower, and we were walking across the park about maybe 100 yards from the tower when we heard the explosion. At that time, we ran back, plugged our camera.
Quite a scene down here at Centennial Olympic Park. I'm also here with my colleague, Fred Khalil, who came over from the Aquatic Center, and we were talking about, as you had mentioned, Tom, about the security situation here in the park. We are all wearing several pieces of ID, and of course, we are scrutinized top to bottom, right, Fred?
Yeah, we are. We are the ones that are sanitized, as it were, in Olympic terms. And as Tom pointed out, you know, everybody goes through a credentialing process, but for the fans, and that really that's what the park is for. For the fans, they have no security checkpoints whatsoever.
We do understand it's a park. We wanted people to come down and enjoy, but like Fred was saying, we are the only ones that are checked and rechecked. Of course, anyone can come through the park, and anything, of course, can happen. I talked to a witness who was 30 feet away from the area. He has been walking around with a backpack, and as he told us, not once in this week has anyone asked him anything and to check. He was there, and he was just grateful that he was alive to tell about it. Once again, we saw 4 people severely injured, and I'm sure they've been taken to Grady and taken care of. And once again, our reporters on the scene at the Police Command Center say, yes, indeed, a call came in to officials, 911 call about a warning about this explosion. Tom?
All right, thank you very much, Angela Robinson of WXIA. We have some additional information for you. In about 12 minutes, we do expect to hear from officials from the International Olympic Committee and from the Atlanta Committee on the Olympic Games here in Atlanta, talking about what they now plan to do. We have been told by sources within those committees, however, that they expect these games to go forward, that they will lower the flags to half-staff. They'll have a moment of silence before any event begins, but that the athletes will begin to roll out of Olympic Village this morning to their various venues for the early calls at 5:30 this morning. Olympic Village is about 5 miles from here. It's a heavily secured area at Georgia Tech. There has been absolutely no sign of any difficulty there, but I'll bet that the security has been ratcheted up considerably. It's down and to the left of where Centennial Park is, if memory serves. So that's what we expect. It now happened just about 3 hours ago. this explosion in downtown Atlanta at Centennial Park. A man who was an eyewitness to it, in fact, was getting back from what was described as a suspicious package at the time, was KNBC cameraman Mark Field. Mark, tell us from the beginning what happened.
Well, Tom, I was just coming back to my live position, and a security guard had come over and told us that there's a suspicious package over there, and we're going to ask the crowd to move away, so you better move your live gear. At that point, I shot a picture of the package, which you're looking at right now. It looked like a leather type of, just one of those small, soft leather bags, you might say. And at this point, the crowd that had been in front of my live location had already been evacuated. And at this point, I was moving my gear back and resetting to establish my signal live. And just as I was about to start rolling tape, there was a loud explosion, a flashbang explosion. My partner, Ron, was with me, was hurt. I like to say that he's okay. If his wife is listening, he's fine. And I was really concerned about him, and just like everyone else, I was in shock.
Mark, do you have any idea whether, in fact, that package was the source of the explosion?
Tom, as far as I'm concerned, that was the explosion. I saw the explosion. I was watching it. It was right in that location. I'm going to say 99% sure it was that package that exploded. It was the bottom left-hand corner of the mixed tower, as we call it. That's the sound and lighting stage. And we normally do our live shots approximately 15, 20 feet from that, and I had just moved over towards the sidewalk, so I was still probably 30 to 50 feet from the explosion when it happened. I felt a concussion, I felt some debris. I'm still feeling a little light burning sensation in my legs.
All right, Mark, we're going to show the explosion one more time. I don't know whether you can see this from a different angle and from a different camera. Here's what happened.
Okay. I see that, as a matter of fact, Tom, and I was a witness to it. It was a large flash and a big bang, and I was in disbelief that it was a bomb. You know, and then once I started shooting, I saw that there were police officers down. People were bleeding, bleeding from the ears. Some people were bleeding on the legs. There wasn't a real lot of panic. I think most people were in shock. And just as I'm still a little bit in shock myself, I was very concerned about my partner, Ron, who's been very helpful with me. Once again, he's fine, which I'm very happy he is.
Ron had some superficial injuries, I gather, what, from shrapnel, do you think?
Well, actually, the police had pushed me away. I was trying to talk to Ron. They pushed me away. I think he was just in shock. He might have gone a little deaf from the sound of the explosion. And I actually think he protected me a little bit because he was literally right in front of me as the explosion happened. And I guess as any good cameraman did, I just started rolling and tried to record what I could.
Yeah, Mark, you've been in that area, what, for the past several days now, right?
Actually, I've been here for 5 weeks, Tom.
Yeah,
So,
and have you had other incidents where the police have come to you and said, listen, we'd like you to go out of the area because we've got to...
Actually, that's the first incident. I've made friends with the police, the undercover police, the security. They've all been great. I can't say anything bad about them. They've been wonderful. I think everyone at the park and in Atlanta has been so friendly. I'm very impressed with the people. Everyone's been super. So for something like this to happen is a complete shock to me.
When they told you that they had what they thought was a suspicious package, was there a great urgency at the time?
There was urgency, but it was a calm urgency. They did not want to panic the crowd. What happened was they had already cleared out the people approximately, I'm going to say in the circumference of about 100 feet in that area. But there were still people on the sidewalk close to it, and they were just in the process of pushing people farther back when the bomb exploded.
All right, thanks very much. Mark Field, well done, and our best to your partner as well, Ron. We're told that he has been treated and released from Georgia Baptist Hospital, so we'll let you get back to the job at hand here. Thanks very much, Mark. That's Mark Field from KNBC. He did have a picture of what he believed was the package, and that was exactly where the explosion occurred. He was being cleared back at the time by Atlanta police. He's gotten to know them well. They cleared him back about 50 feet, and then there was this terrible bang, and the consequences of which we've been sharing with you for the past 3.5 hours now. Let's go now to a doctor who has been treating some of the injured, recorded earlier.
What, about 4 or 5 patients so far? But like I said, we see patients if they've already been seen and evaluated, and then we see them.
Any sense of how many in the emergency room? the emergency room, or how many have
I
been
don't know,
brought
maybe
in the
about
last hour?
maybe a couple of dozen. Yeah,
A couple of dozen?
I've seen about 20 people being treated, but the injuries range from very minor to serious. So.
What is the most serious?
Shrapnel?
We're seeing a lot of shrapnel injury. Yeah, but like I said, we're not seeing everyone. We're just seeing a few people, and we're getting someone set up.
We've seen a couple of shrapnel injuries. To head or? Saw one shrapnel injury to the back. Not really aware of what the outcome of that patient was. But.
Your name?
Dr. Trawick, Roy Trawick, orthopedics.
Dr. Reddy, orthopedics.
Can you please spell them?
All right, those are some of the doctors who are treating the injuries. You heard them describe the nature of the wounds that people have suffered. Most of them appear to have been shrapnel wounds because a lot of that tower was scattered at the time, a lot of metal. Jim Gray is standing by now. He has been summoned to police headquarters where he was told that there would be some kind of an announcement, and he's been gathering information for us. He's at ACOG headquarters. ACOG stands for the Atlantic Committee on the Olympic Games. Jim?
That's right, Tom. We're on the corner of Williams and Baker Street. We're approximately 2 blocks away from where the explosion occurred. This has been the home of ACOG for the past 5 years, just after they were awarded the games. This is where they have called their headquarters. People now gathering. We're told that A.D. Frazier, who is in the second in command, as well as Billy Painter in the building. A.D. Frazier will have a press conference. A lead member of the IOC will also attend. We're told that the police chief of Atlanta will be there, as well as the FBI. Now, Roger O'Neill, this press conference, by the way, should take place at about 4:30 Eastern time, which is in about 5 minutes, but all of the press is still being detained outside, so if they're going to have a press conference, it's going to be much later than that. Now, Roger O'Neill has been working the telephone here. He has some brand new information, and Roger, pass on what you have.
Well, the information we're getting, Jim and Tom, is that most of the injuries appear to be relatively minor. That is good news. Secondly, we're hearing again that they are operating under the assumption that it was a pipe bomb that went off. We are hearing from sources inside of the command center that the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is in charge of this operation right now. Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, ATF, the federal agents, the experts in this kind of sort of stuff are on scene with several vans and several truckloads of agents, and they are beginning that investigation. We have not heard yet that the FBI has taken control of the investigation, but one would assume that would happen fairly soon.
Roger, familiar with these type of cases, having reported on them in the past. What will be the procedure? How long will it take to determine? And you also had some inkling from your security sources that something like this was prevalent.
Well, if it's a pipe bomb, the shrapnel, which we've heard injured a number of people, that would be fairly easy to determine. As soon as those folks get to the hospital and the surgeons and the doctors begin to treat those people, they'll see that kind of shrapnel. And they'll be able to tell fairly quickly whether it was a pipe bomb or not. Certainly, there will be some pieces of evidence around where, if it was a pipe bomb that went off, would be around there. This, we are told, Tom, took place at a pole which was holding some of the projection equipment and light equipment for these shows that was going on. And around that pole was a security
That, what you just heard, was not a problem. That was a police barricade. All the barricades just fell off, so that loud sound you just heard was nothing to be alarmed about, just the police dropping some fencing. Go ahead, Roger.
Around that pole where they believe the pipe bomb was, there was a secure area of 10 or 15 feet so that there weren't a lot of people around that. That's the latest information we're getting right now.
As we await Tom to go inside to the ACOG press conference along with the FBI and so forth, we'll be standing outside here. John Frankel is here, Roger O'Neill. We'll be back to you when we have some more information.
All right, thanks very much, Jim Gray and Roger O'Neill and John Frankel from NBC Sports and NBC News. It does appear that that news conference will be delayed. I'm hearing now from Washington that the FBI does not want to say anything publicly until it furthers its investigation as to the nature of this explosion. We've heard from federal authorities that it was an explosive device. The FBI will not say publicly yet, however, that it was a bomb. And I cannot imagine that either the Olympic officials or city officials want to go public until they know some more from the FBI. Our hope and guess is that it's all being carefully coordinated. Dave Statter of WXIA is at Atlanta Police Headquarters now. Dave?
Tom, we have also been working the telephones, much as Roger has, trying to get some information from law enforcement sources close to this investigation. One thing that we have learned, which was mentioned briefly earlier, is that there is a tape recording that was made at the 911 dispatch center of a call that came in. The exact timing of the call is not known at this time, but federal investigators are trying to get a hold of this tape recording and listen to it. It makes reference to an explosion or a bomb. They want to hear exactly what was said on that tape recording that came into the 911 911 center. Apparently a crucial piece of evidence they want to hear. Again, the exact timing of that is not known. It is believed it came in before the explosion occurred, but that is not really clear at this time. Tom?
All right, thanks, Dave Statter.